Mufasa was an unsurprising disappointment. Mufasa, everything about it's a failure. Mufasa is everything wrong with modern cinema. Mufasa is not good. Mufasa is a failed experiment. Mufasa, can you feel the cringe tonight? Mufasa.
Wait, was Mufasa really that bad? Mufasa was one of those movies that was an easy target. Basically, whenever Disney revisits an old franchise, there's already a batch of haters saying it's not the same, or they'll never recreate the feel of the original, and all of those are rightful criticisms. However, it just feels like once this was announced, everybody was banking on this being a failure, and any little thing wrong with it was blown up to massive proportions, all for the sake of views. And when everybody saw that Sonic 3 was going to be released the same day, it was made into a competition. And this is all fine and dandy, especially when it's all in good fun, like with the Barbenheimer craze back when those movies came out. But at least with that trend, there wasn't a bad guy. They both benefited from this rivalry. Sure, some people liked one movie over the other, but with Mufasa versus Sonic, it became a malicious rivalry, with people trashing the weaker movie. So many videos and social media posts became less of praising Sonic 3 and more of hating on Mufasa for not being as good, which of course is all up to personal preference. Disclaimer, I have not seen Sonic 3. I have seen the other two movies and I thought they were good, pretty forgettable, but that's because I'm not a Sonic fan. And apparently Sonic 3 is way better than the other two, so I mean, who knows? And that right there is what people forgot. Mufasa had its issues, but for fans of the franchise, this was an exciting return to the Pride Lands after over 5 years. As a rule of thumb, if you want to bring something down to lift something else up, maybe it's not that good to start with, but that's what I was taught. And I can't blame everyone for hating on Mufasa. It was popular to do. Disney's biggest original franchise being beat by a blue hedgehog was a nice kick in the pants for the money-hungry mouse. Disney milking their old franchises has gotten so old and lazy, so it's always nice to see Disney have some flops here and there, which are becoming more common and abundant. Plus, once a trend starts, it's easy to jump in on it. Heck, even I did. However, this actually harms movies that really aren't that bad. There are truly bad films, and then there are controversial films that some people like and some people dislike. And sure, there's going to be people in the minority, but oversimplified, films usually do fall in between bad, controversial, and good. So was Mufasa really that bad? Well, once again, it comes down to personal preference, like with anything. But for me, I actually really enjoyed this movie. Was it my favorite Lion King movie? Definitely not. Was it my favorite movie of the year? Yeah, not that either. I truly believe the people who worked on this did a great job with what they were given. The songs were catchy, even though they made zero sense, which I mentioned in another video. The characters were well done, although they do differ slightly from the original Lion King, which some people may like. The villains were actual villains. The plot moved along nicely, and it had a pretty good message. Definitely not a movie that is objectively bad. With a lot of the hate, it seemed it was more towards Disney and wanting to give them an L, which this movie ended up being a pretty decent success, hopefully sending Disney the message that we want more Lion King stuff, not more live action stuff, which maybe they're finally getting the picture on that. But this blind hate train has happened before. At least to my memory, the last movie to get a bunch of hate was yet another live action adaptation. So there's a common theme here. What I'm talking about is Wonka, which when it first released got a ton of hate for the reason that somebody else was going to play Willy Wonka, and when you attempt to retell a story, there's going to be changes. Changes some people will love and some people will hate. I think Disney dampened the live action remake scene by overdoing it, because there are some genuinely great remakes out there that do serve a purpose in existing rather than just money.
I like money.
Such as the How to Train Your Dragon remake. That movie was great, and Wonka, in my opinion at least, was a great movie as well. Timothée Chalamet did a great job portraying Willy Wonka in his own way. The songs were really catchy actually, and there were some funny parts that actually made me and my family laugh. And it was just all around a great time. But once the dust settled on all the haters trying to make a quick buck off the hate train, audiences started to come around on this movie, and now it sits at a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Back to Mufasa. If you look up Mufasa review on YouTube, you'll see a ton of negative reviews for the movie. In fact, my review is one of the only ones that is somewhat positive. The reason why that is because hating on Disney live action remakes is profitable. And sure, this movie just isn't going to be some people's cup of tea, but putting the influence influencers and critics aside, you'll find the general census for this film is pretty positive. It sits at a respectable 80% on Rotten Tomatoes for the audience, and I've heard from real life people that they enjoyed this movie, so it's not just Lion King fans that like it. But once again, is it Disney's best movie within the past 5-10 years? No, it's still a controversial movie. But the moral of this story is, don't believe everything you hear from reviews online, including YouTube, because opinions differ. And no hate to the YouTubers who gave this movie a bad review. I totally understand how the algorithm works, and you have to be hot or cold in your title and thumbnail to get people to click. And I didn't watch all of these reviews, so I'm sure they had some good things to say about this movie. But it's just sad that it's a common trend to serve emotion-inducing titles and thumbnails to people, especially people who haven't seen said movie yet, because it could deter them from watching a movie they might actually enjoy. And of course, it's hard to judge a review just by the title and thumbnail, so maybe watch the actual video to see that person's opinion on it. Because once again, they have to serve super emotion-inducing thumbnails to people. So if they leaned on not liking it, they'll show a thumbnail and title that says, "This is the worst movie ever." Or if they did like it, then they'll show a thumbnail or a title that says, "This is the best thing ever. This is the studio's best movie." But have you watched Mufasa? Did you enjoy it? Speaking of enjoying, if you enjoyed this video, I do a lot of similar videos on The Lion King. So if you subscribed, that would mean the world to me. But Hakuna Matata, no worries if you're just stopping by. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end. I'm Tate, farewell.